the 2021 Triumph official rider with the PTR Dynavolt team, and obviously the first American champion in any BSB class. Brandon Paasch. Brandon, how are we?
Good. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're all good. We're in a bit of a colder environment than you are. I'm assuming you're over on the eastern coast.
Yeah, we actually just got done riding today down here in Florida.
Oh, nice. Little bit more scenic than Coventry then. First off then, how does it, obviously, I mean, you've done a bit of back and forth, Motor America, BSB. How does it feel to be coming back to the BSB paddock?
I'm pumped. I mean, that's obviously, for me, I think it's the right direction to get into the World Championship. So I'm happy to be back overseas and hopefully have a good season this year with the Dynavolt PTR Triumph team, and hopefully venture my way into World Supersport or et cetera, et cetera. So.
Yeah, and we'll get a bit more into that progression a bit later as well. But obviously, I mean, you've done a bit of back and forth, like I said. What was your very first season you did over in BSB? What was your your very first incentive? What was the first idea to come over here?
So like when I was like 12, 13 years old, I was always watching the BSB Moto 3 class for whatever reason, I don't know. And we kind of just set that as a goal, like, hey, let's go race the BSB Moto 3 championship one day. And it was supposed to happen a lot earlier than it did for me to come over. We were talking to actually like RX Racing back in like 2014, 2013. And we just were never able to make it happen. And then obviously like 2 years ago or 3 years ago now, I came over and did my first full season in the Moto 3 class. And then my second season, I wound up winning the championship. And that was kind of like a dream come true for me. It was just always a goal that I had, and it took me like 5 years to accomplish that goal. So now it's on to that next goal. So.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Obviously, you had your sights set on that. You came here. I mean, you did a couple of seasons, I think, and then you came over and won it. You started that journey with on the Mahindra, I think, wasn't it?
Yep. Yeah, I was teammates with Asher and Chris on the Mahindra team, and then moved over to the FPW KTM team for my second year in 2019.
What does it involve coming? Obviously, because I mean, coming over from America, getting everything organised to come over. What's involved in because being so far away and coming to racing here? What's involved in that process?
Honestly, like the first time that I came, we didn't really put too much thought into it. We just kind of like sent me over and hope for the best.
Yeah.
But, like this year, it's taken me a lot more time to figure out like how I'm going to be able to stay for the whole year because of COVID and those sort of things. So we're like working out how I'm going to get my visa and where I'm going to stay and all that good stuff, and like what bikes I'm going to be able to ride. And it's really difficult for me logistically because I have to bring like basically my whole life to England. Like I'm based here in America full time. I'm from New Jersey. I stay in New York a lot, and then in the winters I come down to Florida. So all my bikes are here, and all my gear and family, friends, everything's here. So when I just up and move over to England for the summers, it's kind of tough for me because I kind of come over and I don't really have any friends and et cetera. I don't have any bikes and stuff like that. So I kind of just hang out, ride my bicycle, and go racing.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to be sort of applauded there and so much to be looked up to. The fact that sort of commitment coming over and like you say, all that work that goes into that. Originally, sort of last year, if we're going back to 2020 season, you was meant to originally come into GP2 class, I think, wasn't it, with RS Racing? Was that sort of what happened? Was that sort of just because of logistics and COVID and all of that?
Yeah, so I raced Daytona. Well, I was supposed to race Daytona 200 here in America last March, and COVID hit right at the time where we were supposed to race. So we're actually at the track qualified. I qualified like 8th or something for the Daytona 200, and they canceled the race right before the race. So I basically got on a flight the day after they canceled it straight to England to try and get over and stay there because I knew like COVID was coming. I was like, everything's going to be locked down. I just need to get there and just settle down. And within 24 hours of me getting to England, they actually postponed the season. So I flew home. And when I flew home, that was probably the biggest mistake I could have made last year because I couldn't get back into the country. So we basically settled with riding here in America for the season. Not settled, but we decided that it was safer and a bit easier logistically for me just because of all the travel restrictions and stuff.
And I mean, so I mean, you had a really successful season this year. I think it's safe to say. I mean, I was following a few of the Supersport rounds, and you were always at the front, always on the podium. From what I saw, for sure. But going back to sort of your early memories of BSB, just talk us through the journey you've had in BSB.
So I think a lot of people don't really know, but in 2014, I did my first BSB event when I was like 13 years old. I flew over to Aston in the Milwaukee Junior Cup. So technically it wasn't really a BSB class, but it was in conjunction with the BSB. And I finished way back, finished like 13th, 14th, something like that. And kind of realized, okay, I need to take a step here with my riding. And came back the next year in 2015, and I did 3 wild cards in the Milwaukee Junior Cup. And every race I finished on the podium. So it was one at Donington Park, one at Brands Hatch, and then Aston again. Finished, I think, 2/3 and 1 second, something like that. And at the end of that, we were like, okay, next year we need to go Moto3. I want to go Moto3. And we really pushed for that, but in the end, we couldn't make it happen. So I wound up racing in America, raced the KTM Junior Cup over here, won that championship. And the next year in 2017, I got a ride with the factory Suzuki team here in America in Supersport at 16. So I was just turned of age to race in the Supersport class, and had a factory ride, and everything was going great. And then out of nowhere, I kind of lost the ride and was sitting on my butt on the couch for half the season, and wound up getting a ride again in the BSB championship in the Stock 600 class with GNS Racing, and came over, did half the season there. I think I might have finished like 1 or 2 top 10s, and other than that, I was just struggling between 10th and 15th. Just wasn't quite comfortable with the bike and with the tracks, and it was a big transition for me coming from America at that young of an age to like a bike and a series and tracks that I didn't really know. So I really quite struggled in 17, and then 2018 came over, first full season on Moto3, came out round 1 on the podium. Thought it was going to be a great year, and then just kind of struggled from there. Was like battling for top 5s and 5th, 6th, 7th area, and had one good race at I think it was Olton, and in the morning warm up it was wet. High sided myself before the second race and shattered my wrist and missed the last 2 rounds. So, but still finished 5th in the championship that year somehow.
But transitioning. Sorry, you carry on.
Yeah, sorry about it, but just wondering, like going back really too early in your career, road racing in America, it's not that big. So how did you get into it? Was it your family have always been into road racing, or was it just a passion that you had from a really early age?
I started racing motocross when I was like 3.5, 4 years old here in America in the 50 class. And I was pretty focused on that, like 50s. And then I went 65s. And then right before I went to like 150s, 85s, 150s, somebody like mentioned that there was this like mini moto championship actually like in my state in New Jersey here. And I decided to try it. And I was way better instantly at that than I was at motocross. I was like, all right, this is what I want to do. And from there, I just fell into it and started watching tons of old races. And my uncle actually road raced at the time as well in the AMA. So I just kind of got really deep into it, just watching.
A lot of my heroes when I was younger were Americans. I was a massive Colin Edwards fan back in the day, and obviously Nicky Hayden. Did you look up to those sort of guys as well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as an American rider, my heroes growing up was always Colin Edwards, Nicky Hayden, and then recently, well, not recently anymore, but for me, when I was growing up, was PJ Jacobson, because he was local to my house, and he came over to BSB, won some Stock 1000 and podium in Superbike class and Supersport, and runner-up World Supersport. Like he was kind of like the man of my childhood. So watching him race was always pretty inspiring for me, just like to prove that somebody can do it coming from where I was from.
Yeah, sure.
The main sort of question I have for you is why BSB and why not Moto America?
For me, at this point, I think like Moto America is very much like in a progression state where they're kind of still growing, still trying to fill spots on the grid and still trying to like kind of grow the series. So for me, I think BSB is a bit more established at the moment. There's like more teams, more riders, more competition. And I feel like a lot of the world championships and world championship teams look at the BSB and hold it as like a higher championship than they would to the American Series. No offense to them, but I just feel like it's looked more like it's basically a world championship, but in England, you know?
Yeah.
It's great to see that American team in Moto2 now, and obviously that must be something that you would dream of getting into.
Yeah, that would be awesome to ride for them guys. I actually know all those people. I've had meetings with the team, and I'm friends with Joe Roberts. I'm friends with Cameron Bobier. Me and Bobier, I actually stayed at his house a couple years ago for like 2-3 weeks, trained with him. So we're pretty good friends, and if there's ever a spot opened up, that would be great.
It'd be really good to see how he does in this season, because obviously he kind of ran away with the American Championship last year. So it'd be good to see how he does in the Moto2 this year.
Yeah, I'm hoping he does pretty well, just to help us make look a little bit better. But yeah, I think he'll do well. I think it's going to take him a couple races just to get settled in with the team and with the bike and all that stuff, because it's such a big change coming from. He's been running away with every race here in America and hasn't had to battle anybody in years. So I think just the racing side of it alone is going to be a little bit different for him, like the strategy of how to win a race. You know what I mean?
And similar to Bobier, you had obviously Garrett Gerloff, who did really well in World Superbike this year. And seeing more Americans make it out of Moto America and make it out onto the world stage and impress as well. Not just, because Gerloff went out and he impressed. He didn't just leave. Do you think we'll see more of this? Do you think Moto America sort of growing in that respect?
Yeah, honestly, I think we've always had this talent level over here. It's just been like there hasn't been any opportunities for riders. And now that over here, we've had, in the past 2 years, the factory Suzuki team here in America kind of pulled out. The factory Yamaha team isn't really factory anymore. It's kind of like taking a big step backwards, and the riders here, their paychecks started to get cut. So they're like, okay, it's time to go to Europe. And not that they're making more money in Europe or here. It's just like, I don't know. I think as far as Bobier was, I think he kind of was in a position where he had to go. Same thing with, I think Gerloff wanted to go more than had to go. But I think just with the doors that are starting to be opened up, it's helping us a lot.
I'd say, the biggest thing I've noticed, obviously, because as a rider myself, you're always like looking what the options are out there and stuff, and looking at Moto America. One of the first things I noticed was the prize money. Is that is that exactly how it looks? Are you actually getting paid for riding out there, or is it like BSB where you just sort of throwing money at a team and that's it? You pay for your riding and you go out on track. Yeah.
So there's over here. It's usually either there's three things over here. It's either you're a really good rider and you're getting paid on one of the best teams, and there's not very many seats that are paying. And that's sort of super sport level, is it? Super sport level, there's basically the Suzuki team was the only team that was paying. And now it's kind of nobody's paying riders to ride anymore in super sport here. The way that everybody's making their money is kind of off of bonuses. So you basically, like, if you do well, top three, you collect whatever it is from your manufacturer, and then hopefully your helmet and gear and all that kind of stuff. I know the contingency at Suzuki was pretty good. And same thing with Kawasaki. The contingency is really good here as well, because nobody rides the Kawasaki, especially Superbike. It's like $15,000 to win a race. So there's definitely ways to make money here, but it's not as cut and dry as everybody thinks. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And whilst you've been there, how much would you say, sort of like a super sport or a Superbike rider, is there a big difference in their earnings? From super sport to Superbike, it's I don't know how the earnings kind of work in Superbike yet, because I'm not there, but yeah. Just from the rumors, the Superbike guys definitely make a little bit more money than we were in super sport.
I can't believe Tony Elias was going short of money, let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, he was making good money, but also in the past couple of years, like I said, the Suzuki team's not really as factory anymore. It's kind of, they're losing a bit support. Same thing with like the Yamaha team, Monster Energy actually pulled out of sponsoring the team. So there's just some little things like that where people are taking cuts on their prize money and stuff, and kind of sucks, but it's just where the industry's at. So
yeah, no, absolutely.
Trying to hustle.
It's something we talk about. I mean, pretty much every week on this show is sort of the costs of racing and stuff like that. But moving it back to BSB and moving it back to the year ahead of you. I mean, this is exciting. This is, you know, a new project, Triumph. This is the 765. First off, how do you feel about the team?
I'm super pumped, honestly. I mean, it's a team that I've been following in the World Championship for a while now. Yeah, it's just a really, really good opportunity for me, I think. As soon as I heard that it was available, I jumped at it and I was like, all right, let's go. I'm excited. And just like working with Simon and the whole PTR team, I mean, I know they have plenty of experience. And then even working with Triumph, I know they're new to coming into the Super Sport class with the 765, but they have plenty of experience with the motors in the World Championship, and the Triumph 675 from back in the day actually handled really well and kind of just lacked a little bit of the power. And now that they have the new 765 motor, I think it'll be a really good bike. So I'm excited to go racing on it. I actually have one here in America that I've been training on, just taking it to track days and riding it as much as I can. So I'm pretty lucky in that sort where I have the weather and I have the means to be able to go ride as much as possible. So I think we'll be able to start strong.
That's brilliant. I've noticed that you've had a chance to get out there and ride on it, and that's brilliant. What's your sort of first impressions of it then? What's it like? Well, how does it compare to sort of other bikes you've ridden?
I mean, honestly, the thing is, it's really strong off the corner, but I think like as far as 600, I mean, I was riding with somebody who was on a 636 as well, and I followed them because like I know how fast the bike is because I've rode every middleweight now. And compared to the 636, the Triumph was a bit better off the corner, and I think on the top end, I don't think it's any faster than the other bikes, at least not mine, my personal one. Honestly, actually, I think the Cowie might have been a little bit quicker on top end, but it was just coming off the corner. The bike felt real smooth and real nice to ride. Pretty similar to like a Superbike, to be honest. Like the way that you have to kind of slow down and turn the bike and then drive off the corner. It's more similar to a 1000, I'd say. But yeah, I don't know. It's cool. I like it, and it's definitely different with the 3 cylinders instead of a traditional 4-cylinder. So.
How competitive do you think it will be? Do you think you're going to be going in there looking for the championship, or it's going to be sort of take some time to adapt it?
Honestly, I always want to win a championship. I want to win races. I want to win championships, and that's what I show up to do, and that's what I get paid to do. So that's my goal for the year. Go after that title, go after some race wins, and see where we're at. Obviously, I'm not expecting to go out and win the first couple races just because everything's new. So I'm looking to start at a good spot and then just build from there and work my way to the front, which is kind of where I feel like I'm strong. Is I'm able to keep my head going in the right direction and keep focused on what the goal is. So I think even if we start and we're top 5, 6, 7, 8, that's a starting point, and we can work our way up from there. So I'm not expecting too much out of the gate, but I am expecting to be at the front by the end of the year.
Does it worry you at all that it's a bit of a, it's like an unknown area, it's an unknown project, it's not really something we've seen yet in the Supersport class? Yeah,
I'm a little nervous, honestly, like just because there's so many unknowns for me as far as like the team and the bikes, and like I don't know anything. I'm just showing up, and when I show up to the first test, it's like, hey guys, how are you? Nice to meet you all. So I mean, going from that to hopefully we get a good bit of testing in before the season, and then we show up to round 1 prepared and look like we know what we're doing.
Of course, I mean, testing's at the moment so difficult to get going with. I mean, especially for you as well with traveling over. Is there any sort of plans in place with that?
Well, at the moment, I'm scheduled to race the Daytona 200 here in a couple weeks. So after that, I think I'm going to fly directly to England and get everything sorted out, get settled in, and then hopefully go testing. I think our team is scheduled to do the BSB tests, like the official tests. So as long as we're in for that, and as long as they don't get canceled, we should be good to go.
And how does that work?
just staying on Daytona quickly, I've been really lucky enough to watch bikes go round. It would have been AMA back then. And I've also watched NASCARs there. What is it like riding around that banking at that speed? It must be pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Daytona is like, it's a different breed of track, honestly. You're just sitting on the banking, you're full gas, just tucked in, like, your head's shaking around in the wind. And you don't even realize how fast you're going, honestly, because you're so, like, you're looking so far ahead, like your eyes are up the track so far that you don't realize you're going as fast as you're going until you get on the brakes for turn one and you're like, oh man, I'm going from sixth gear down to second gear, and it's like the bike's sideways, you're just sliding into the first corner. It's a special feeling for sure. Definitely one that, like, I mean, if you've never done it, it would be really cool to do it, just to say, like, hey, I've raced Daytona. But I mean, it's definitely not one of my favorite tracks.
No,
it's just different. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's a really cool track, but there's not a whole lot to it. You're full throttle for like a minute around the whole track, just sixth gear flat out on a 600. So it's cool. It's definitely cool, but it's a little scary when you're in a big group, and then it gets kind of boring, especially like during the 200. It's a 69 lap race, so you're full throttle for a solid 30 minutes.
From the 2 times I've been there, I've seen the polar opposite of sports in America. When I went and watched NASCAR there, it was like hundreds of thousands of people there. It's probably the biggest sport in, like, most people I've ever been to. And then I went there to watch Superbikes, and it was like a ghost town. So you can tell how much the Americans love the NASCAR, and that the bike racing doesn't really take off in America.
Yeah, I'm actually living, like, right now 10 minutes from the Speedway, not even. So we're going over there and, like, checking it out, and they just had the I think they just had, like, the Rolex 24 hours or something, like, a couple weeks ago, and then last week they had, like, their first NASCAR race, and then I think coming up pretty soon here it should be the Daytona 500.
Yeah, because it's coming up on my timeline on Facebook that I was at watching the Daytona 500.
Yep. So we have, like, all the races are within a week of each other. So we'll have, like, NASCAR, the American Flat Track Championship, Supercross, and then the road race. So
are they all behind closed doors then at the moment then?
Honestly, I think they're all open. Like, you can just buy a ticket, show up. I know for the 200 they have spectators, and then the flat track races there's spectators, but you can't go into the pits.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure about NASCAR because I don't really follow it at all.
You're probably one of the few Americans that doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, everybody that I know is into motorcycles, so we're all focused on that same goal. You know, we don't really focus on anything other than racing. So I don't really know too many people that, like, follow NASCAR, you know.
I'm a bit odd, I am, because I'm not really an F1 fan, but I don't mind NASCAR, so I suppose I'm a bit odd as well.
Right on. Yeah, no, NASCAR's cool. I mean, it's like, I don't know, they're full gas all the time. It's kind of crazy. But
yeah. It's a different conversation. We'll get back to a proper sport, the spikes.
It's sort of staying on it a little bit. What would you say is like in the difference in tracks? Are American tracks similar to tracks in BSB? Is it some similar style, or is it completely different?
Honestly, it's way closer than people think. And sometimes I, like, give everybody a different answer just because, I don't know, I want to, like, antagonize people a little bit. But we have similar tracks to, like, Olton and Cadwell. I mean, we don't have anything with a jump, but we got, like, some real tight tracks, like Road Atlanta. It's very tight and technical, a lot of blind corners, and then that would be kind of similar to, like, an Olden Park. Then we also have GP tracks, like we go to Austin in Texas, we go to Laguna Seca, we go to Road America, which is a very underrated track, GP style track. We kind of have a mix of everything, really. Similar to BSB, where we go to Silverstone, we go to Donington, we go to Brands, and those are all very, like, GP-ish tracks. Not so much Brands, but Donington and Silverstone. And then over here, we go to a good variety of tracks as well. We have, like, the more dangerous tracks with no runoff and like, a lot more tight and blind corners. And then we also have fast-flowing tracks. So we kind of have a mix of everything over here. Just depends on the calendar and where the series decides to go on that season.
I think it's safe to say that the Triumph team that you're going to be with now, PT, obviously, they've been a World Championship team for a long time. I think it's safe to say that they're going to try and take this Triumph challenge thing to the World Championship. I'm assuming this is your sort of aim and goal as well, as to try and get there with them. Is that your sort of plans for the future?
Yeah, it's in my contract. There's some stuff in my contract. So if everything goes right, we'll hopefully make our way into the World Championship. I mean, it really depends on what the rules wind up being for the Triumph and all that sort of stuff, like what Dorna decides they want to do with the bike. And then at the end of the year, if the team likes working with me, or if for whatever reason something goes wrong and we decide to split, then that happens. But obviously that's all of our goal, I think, is we all want to progress as one team to the World Championship and have that 1 year of working together before we go into the World Championship, so we can start on the right foot.
Would you consider, obviously, I mean, the future's the future. It's always vague, but I mean, would you consider anything else? I saw you've played with a bit in CEV as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like I'll ride anything, anytime, anywhere. Just I'll show up and I'm gonna put my best effort in and try to win. And I don't care what it's on, I want to win. So for me, if it's CEV and it's a Moto2, great, I'm gonna show up and try to win. If it's Superbikes and BSB, cool, I'm gonna show up and put my best effort and hopefully I'm at the front. And same thing if it winds up being Moto America, I'm a Superbike or Super Sport, I'm gonna go out and try to win. And that's kind of my main goal is, once I know where I'm racing and what I'm racing, it's okay, how can I make that bike go to the front? And that's kind of what I've been focusing on the past month and a half, 2 months here. Ever since I knew that I was racing the Triumph, it was, all right, let's be as best prepared as we can. Let's get one of the bikes. Let's do all these things and be as well prepared as I can be for the season. And that's always my goal, is to win races and win championships. And that's all I want to do, and wake up every day with that goal in mind. So I mean, I feel like I'll be tough to beat at some points this year. So,
it's been awesome to talk to you, and I'm really excited to see how this project with the Triumph is gonna pan along. So, thanks a lot for coming on the show to talk to us.
Can we squeeze in my quick fire questions?
Oh yeah, go on, Jay.
Right, some quick fire questions. Some are a bit of fun, but we'll see what your answer. Right, it's come to the end of your career. What would you have preferred, a MotoGP race win or a World Superbike title?
That one's tough. I mean, as far as like a championship versus a race win, it depends what team I'm riding for in MotoGP and World Superbike. But I'd say probably a MotoGP win, because that's everybody's dream, is to go to MotoGP. Yeah. I mean, I definitely wouldn't be upset with a World Superbike team.
What sort of training do you do away from the racetrack?
Away from the road racetrack, I also ride a lot of motocross, supermoto, and flat track, and then a lot of cycling. I kind of really enjoy getting out on the push bike and going for a couple miles, and mountain bikes a lot when I'm back home in Jersey, and hopefully this year in England, I like to bring my bicycles with me and travel with my bikes and just go exploring and see new stuff. So.
Quickly off that one, where do you stay when you are in England? Do you just sleep in hotels, or do you have an English family, shall we say?
Yeah, I actually live with my good buddy Andy Levers. He was my data guy in BSB for the last 2 seasons that I raced over there. And we live in Derby, so in the Midlands.
So near Donington, really?
Yep, yeah, we're about like 5-10 minutes from Donington, so
Sweet.
Pretty good location for me, and I don't know, I'm happy there. So.
Would you ever consider doing the Isle of Man TT or Northwest 200?
Yeah, actually, I get this question a lot, and if there was ever an opportunity to go do it, I'd be definitely excited to do it. Maybe not on a Superbike, but yeah.
Maybe on the Super Twins. They seem to be in a beginner class.
The Twins would be pretty sweet. I don't know if they do like a Supermoto class or not, but I'm pretty saucy on one of them, so that's ever a thing.
Away from racing, what is top of your bucket list?
You mean like what do I want to do before I die?
Yeah, away from racing.
Probably like skydiving or something like that. I don't know. I feel like jumping out of a plane would be kind of cool.
Sounds good to me. That's something I want to do, to be honest with you. A lot of people say they'd never do it, but something I want to do. If you could go on a track day at any track in the world that you haven't been to currently, where would you go?
Either Phillip Island or Misano.
Yeah, a lot of people say Phillip Island, to be honest with you, but to be honest with you, I think you'll be in World Superbike level soon, so it shouldn't be too long till you're there.
Thanks.
If you didn't do, I think you're probably going to say motocross, but if you didn't do road racing, what other sport would you like to try competitively?
That's a good one. I'm not really good at anything else, so I'm gonna go with probably like I don't know, flat track or supermoto, something like that.
Yeah, that's quite popular in America. The flat track, I see, especially those big ass bikes that they ride around in the ovals. Is amazing what they do.
Yeah, I'm living with the guy who his brother-in-law won the overall championship last year in the American flat track, and he won the production twins championship.
Yeah, they're unbelievable. Some of the speeds they're picking up with like pretty much no front brake, isn't it?
Yes, there's no front brake and over 100 miles an hour at some of the tracks. Pretty gnarly.
And this last question is going to be a bit different because you've been in America and you've been in England. But when you've had a really good race weekend, like what's your number one fast food on the way home from a race?
Oh, that's a good one. When I'm in England, usually it's either a nice McDonald's or KFC. It really depends on what track we're coming home from. Which stop we take off the motorway. In America,
I'll tell you one thing. America needs to bring Wendy's over to England because Wendy's is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, if you think Wendy's is good, you need to go to Chick-fil-A next time you come to America.
Oh, okay.
Great.
I'll give it a look. I had a Wendy's for the first time. Oh, that was brilliant. So, all right, that's the end of my quick fire questions. I'll hand you over the guys. Cheers for that. I look forward to seeing you in the paddock in 2021.
Thank you very much, Brandon. And good luck with it all. And